I really want to interrupt some of my default behaviors. I have been thinking a lot lately about how I spend my day-to-day, how I utilize my time. I really want to do a reset. I've heard a lot of people talk about dopamine detoxing. I always kind of like scoff at this idea, but the more I've been thinking about it, I'm like, okay, maybe I can reframe it as just like a life reset. I decided that I want to do a 30-day challenge to specifically target some of the things that I've been struggling with as a result of this constant need for stimulation and perhaps a little bit of an inbuilt fear of boredom. Today's the 7th, so 30 days from now, June 6th. So for the next 30 days, I am going to make a really genuine effort to fill my time with more active behaviors, by which I mean like me actively participating in things rather than passively observing or consuming things. There's this really negative connotation to boredom. Like we literally say things like, I'm bored to death. Boredom is actually very important for creativity because the more we allow ourselves to sit with our own thoughts, the more we can kind of push away some of the external influence and get to the heart of what we actually think and feel and maybe want to convey through our art. So this is a big drive for this little 30-day experiment. I think the reason that I feel this like repulsion to the idea of boredom is because I sort of feel like all of the days are the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. When you work a corporate job and you're in school and you're just trying to like go through the motions to get where you need to be financially and like academically and otherwise, it can start to feel like you don't have any agency or autonomy in the way that your time is spent. It makes sense that if you feel like you're sort of trapped at work and you have to accomplish tasks all day to benefit somebody else's company or business or whatever, it makes sense that you might want to exercise your autonomy to just like scroll on the internet for 10 minutes and get some dopamine. So you maybe are interested in doing a little reset too. I don't know, maybe you're not. Maybe I'm totally wrong and this is just like out of touch and I'm just an old grandma. I'm new here still. I don't know how this thing works. But if you're interested, I think it would be cool if like maybe you jot down a couple of 30-day goals and do this alongside me and like we can have this little fun community to share updates about how things are going. The habits and things that I want to work on are limit my non-essential spending or like altogether cut it out, which is really boring, but I guess that's the point. Boredom. And then less caffeine, limiting or altogether removing social media where possible. And then lastly, inviting quiet, not being afraid of quiet, and using it to my advantage so that I can get more clear-headed. I have been spending an embarrassing amount of money on things that I don't need, which is in direct conflict with some of my values as both a minimalist and someone who cares deeply about sustainability. I am no longer like extreme with the minimalism. I'd say I'm kind of like a moderate-ist minimalist, but there are some areas in my life where I've become ungovernable. One of those places is lip products. This is so embarrassing. I have like 5 or 6 or 7 lipsticks that are all like the same exact color. I have the same issue with my little Smeesky friends. I love them and I feel like they should get a big exception because they bring joy, right? And they protect the small corners of my home. They warm my heart. But also, I know that these companies make these blind boxes to target people like me who are vulnerable to cute shit. So no more Smeeskies for a little while. The next thing is like really short and simple and straight to the point. If you're depressed, you go get a nice coffee. If you are bored, you go get a nice coffee. But I need to stop doing this and I'm probably consuming a lot of plastic. I could probably go 30 days without getting a takeout coffee. And I typically always have matcha in my home. So for the next 30 days, no coffee, just matcha. I've already like talked about this third point extensively, but I feel like it's the thing that all of us need to do, which is just put our phones down. I have been really deeply reflecting on why it is that I feel the need to fill all of my time with these like stimulating activities that are simultaneously actually really fucking boring when you think about it. There is a sense of predictability. There are trends on social media. Your feed is curated based on your interests and the things that you like. So the algorithm is just delivering shit to your brain based on what you prefer, what your preferences are. Because of course, yeah, like if you have interests, you should like cater to those interests and you should grow and learn and, you know, like immerse yourself in those communities and things. But on the other hand, it's sort of this place we go to for comfort because we know what to expect. For me, YouTube tends to be more of like a learning platform or more of a parasocial platform. That is a healthier form of media consumption when compared to my Instagram consumption. I'll just start scrolling through reels. It's political content that just makes me angry and frustrated, and it's almost like I keep seeking something worse. It's almost like I'm looking for like the reel that's going to tell me the world's about to blow up, and that's fucked up. Like that's horrible. The long story short is basically just that I need to get off of my phone. This is going to be hard for me because I feel like I default to just grab my phone. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's almost like an impulsive behavior. It's not something that I feel like I have full control over. I know it's not just me, but I will get a text message from like one of my favorite people, and I will let it sit on my phone for like a month before I respond to it. Why do I do that? I could spend an hour on Instagram. I could spend 5 hours looking at fucking Labubu's, but I can't respond to a thoughtful text from a friend who I know in real life who I care about. When we're on our phones or we're just scrolling through endless content, we are consuming the voices of others. So even if you're in solitude and you're consuming media on your phone, you're still being directly impacted and influenced by other people. This isn't shocking or anything. It's not profound, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that I'm probably living with the voices of others inside of my mind more often than I realize. All this external shit is just like flooding my brain, and it's like the whole universe is just vomiting its opinion onto me through the internet, and I am just willfully submitting to it to tackle this problem for the next 30 days, or to at least attempt to tackle it. I am going to delete Instagram from my phone. I am going to try my very best to not scroll on LinkedIn when I'm at work. It's so random. I don't even know most of them. They're just random people in my industry. Another kind of weird obsessive behavior that I have is constantly refreshing my email. And I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I'm a big fan of the whole like inbox zero. Like I don't like having emails in there. I like to follow up on things quickly. I'm like really telling on myself in this video. So you should all know that I'm being very vulnerable with you. One of the other behavioral changes that I want to include in this 30-day challenge is around YouTube. A couple weeks back, one of my videos just started fucking going crazy. I think it's at like 15,000 views now, and I honestly just wasn't expecting it. I very recently started YouTubing, and I'm still figuring out like what this channel is exactly. And I was just kind of astounded by the feedback that I got on this like video that I did about, you know, AI art and why you should basically just like make bad art for fun. I did not know how to process the amount of comments that were just coming through nonstop. On the one hand, it felt really good, right? It was like validating, like, oh, I made something interesting. I did something that people care about. Never in my career as a creative person have that many people responded to any one piece of my work. And like, I have been putting music out into the world for years, art out into the world for years. I don't know, it was just incredible. But with that, I found myself feeling the sense of obligation to address every comment the second it came through. So something that I want to try to be more strategic about over the next month with this little challenge is carving out dedicated time to respond to all of your comments, because it's important to me. Like, I want to connect with you all. There's a part of me that's like, I would love to at some point create like a Discord channel or something, or like a Patreon, or I don't even know. Like, that's something very far future. But there is a part of me that's like, damn, I want to create like a cool creative hub for folks. But I do need to have like dedicated time to do these things. And it's the same thing like how I said earlier with like texting people back. Maybe if I had a designated time each day where I check my phone and I just like respond to everything, maybe I'd be a better communicator. I don't know. So that's the third thing. And then the last thing is embracing quiet. I want to find quiet and actually welcome it. I don't know about you all. They say there's like two camps of people. There are the people who have the audible internal dialogue that's like always going. And then there are the folks who I guess don't have that. Like they have an internal dialogue, but it's not quite like an audible narrator. I am in the first camp, so my brain is always loud. I crave quiet so dearly because being in noisy environments, it feels like I'm being constantly interrupted. I want to try to embrace the moments that do arise where I realize, hey, it's quiet enough for me to hear my own thoughts. And maybe within that, like, just start jotting my thoughts down more often and structuring my thoughts out, because that is the hardest thing that I have found with like writing ideas and coming up with creative concepts and things is structuring my ideas in an organized way. I think this is largely because my brain is really loud. So sometimes taking all of that noise and translating it into something that makes sense can be difficult. Just as a side note, if you are also the kind of person who struggles with like auditory stuff, I just want to make a recommendation. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I experience like anger sometimes when I hear sounds. I think it's called misophonia, where you just get like irate because of noise. So I got these loops just to try, and it's been life-changing. I feel like when I'm in the grocery store, I don't dissociate anymore. So that's pretty cool. There are ways to get easy dopamine, and then there are ways to attain more challenging dopamine, we could say. And it's kind of like the whole eating the frog thing. So that's going to be part of this whole challenge too. I know that I'm the kind of person who needs rewards. I want a Labubu. I remember first seeing these stupid fucking monsters like months ago and thinking they were so incredibly stupid. I could not conceive of why people my age were freaking out about these little stupid dolls. But something changed in me. I really want a Labubu. I want the pink one and I want the gray one, the lychee and the sesame bean. Yesterday's version of me would have just bought a bunch of blind box Labubus because I have no self-restraint. I'm going to wait until my 30-day challenge is up and get myself 1 or 2 or 4 Labubus as a like gift reward, as a physical, tangible reward. And then I have inbuilt into this whole challenge one other, hopefully, reward that pays off. And that is being able to do a pull-up. I know this sounds kind of weird or like random, but I was thinking about the ways that I feel most fulfilled. So obviously I like the reward of like a physical thing or like a cute thing, but I am also really driven by numbers and that sort of thing. And if I track things over time, I find that I'm really successful in attaining goals. 2 years ago, I could not do a single push-up, and now I could easily do like 20. That sort of dopamine has a much longer lifespan. For me, like physical wellness and strength is something I take really seriously. So I think if I can not only get a physical fun reward, but I can also build in an objective, like hard goal that I'm gonna have to work for, I think that will make this 30-day challenge more interesting and more fun. Maybe when I'm feeling really bored, or I wanna go get a coffee, or I wanna spend money, I can channel that into like my strength training practice. Or like recently, my partner and I found that there is a calisthenics park pretty close to our house, and we've been going every day, and I just practice very pathetic scapular raises, basically trying to make progression. And we've been like taking a little video every time we go so that I can look back in a few weeks and see how I'm progressing. That to me feels like more of a long-term form of attaining dopamine that actually has real life implications in a positive way. So like I said earlier, I think doing this 30-day experiment is going to help me not only overcome some of these challenges in my own life and my day-to-day, but I also think it's going to help me reconnect to some of the values that I really do hold dear to the core of my being. As somebody who really cares about sustainability and minimalism and connecting with people in meaningful ways, reducing my footprint by spending less money on stuff, putting my phone down and not being so chronically online, I think I'll be able to show up for the people in my life in a more authentic, present way. These are just things that I'm kind of struggling with right now and recognize that I'd like to change in myself. It's not really about defining things as good or bad. Rather, I think it's about recognizing where we need more balance. I plan on doing like a check-in video maybe next week or maybe the following week, just to sort of talk through like, hey, how is this going? If it seems like folks are interested, maybe I'll do like a check-in, and then I'll definitely do a 30-day compilation of all of my pull-up attempts. So we'll see how that goes. I'm talking too much, so I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, leave me a comment. Feel free to leave me some insight or thoughts about some of what I shared today. Maybe you're like dealing with similar stuff and you wanna talk about it. Let me know. I hope you have a good day. Bye!